Batman, how many guys do we know that just have expensive cars and, you know, they're cool? What are they really doing here? I don't have too many great things to say about Batman. But the Joker, it wasn't about the money. He
that is true.
Burnt the money. Now, I know everybody's trying to monetize this and that. When he would show up in a room, the mood would change. There would be laughter. There would be bright clothes. Quality.
His wife is a quality woman.
Quality woman that was very eccentric, bubbly, outgoing.
Harley Quinn didn't need anybody.
No.
She was her own woman.
Right.
But the Joker loved her. So does the Batman love anybody? Because he gets his girl killed in the first movie. Right? Would the Joker have gotten his girl killed?
Probably not.
Probably not.
I also want to say I'm very uneducated on this topic. So I don't want to see it in the comments of all you Batman nerds.
Without further ado, we're just going to send this now.
Yeah,
we have enough clips. This is the No Prisoners podcast. Andrew and Gilmar. We are Bucks County's #1 investigative journalists. That's not self-proclaimed. That's straight fact.
That's straight facts.
Before we get into our fashionable attire, we have an announcement. We have an event July 26th.
Yo.
Last Wednesday of the month.
Yep.
We also have one the last Wednesday of the month of August.
Yep.
Right? The event, you need to be there.
Yeah, you got to be there.
If you are an entrepreneur, a business owner, a salesman, or a professional of some kind in the Bucks County area, no Jersey up in here. I'm sorry. We're trying to uplift our immediate community. But that's what it's about, July 26th. Without further ado, we're going to introduce our guest today. He's technically the first family member to officially be on the podcast. He is my cousin. I take fashion tips from him. He golfs, avid golfer, snowboarder or skiing.
Snowboard now.
We're snowboarding. Active individual. All around good guy. We've got Chris Hoagland on the show today.
Shots fired. Shots fired.
Every day.
And it's also a special episode.
Oh, shit. Why is it special?
Not only because we have Chris on, but this will be... We're moving the podcast.
We're moving it up, baby.
We're moving the podcast.
Moving on up.
We have an opportunity with an amazing establishment in Doylestown. And in the future, we may be somewhere else. But today, we are at LBK Design Build. Right? Gilmar, what do we do here? We
build, dude.
We design and we build.
We build. Well, I'm so out of focus right now.
Yeah, it's okay.
What's going on here?
Kim, as Gilmar is struggling with the camera, we'll switch back. If you are looking for a kitchen, bathroom renovation, remodel, addition, stop by the showroom. Nick Cornea, the owner here, was gracious to give us this studio for almost about a year, gave the podcast a home, and we're very grateful for everything he's done for us as individuals as well as the show. So let's give some clap hands.
Yeah, shout out to Nick.
We owe the guy. We owe the guy a lot. We owe the guy a lot.
Yeah, he really did the thing.
He, generous guy, didn't have to do this for us, and can't say enough positive, good things about the guy.
Yeah, we've had a good couple months here.
Yeah, he's done nothing but accommodate us, support the show, introduce us to people, teach us things. We've had so many great conversations. I always enjoy talking to Nick because I leave like fired up, and then I go and do a whole bunch of things. So, Nick, if you're listening, we love you.
We love you, Nick.
And the show loves you.
The show loves you too.
And Bucks County should love you too.
Yeah, definitely.
Bucks County's giving the love.
Yeah, they give the love.
But, so we got Chris here. He was kind enough to, adopt the uniform. We are dressed as the Joker. The Bucks County Batman, the ever elusive Bucks County Batman.
Bailed.
He bailed again.
He got roped up.
He forgot about us again.
Yeah,
we're probably, I mean, it's a very Bruce Wayne Batman thing to do. Bruce Wayne's a bit pretentious, does what he wants. It's his character. Batman, the Dark Knight, he's got to, I mean, maybe the sun was out, scared him off.
Dude, turned around, he was gone.
Disappeared, pop smoke, he was gone.
Gone, dude.
He's an enigma, right? So being that the Bucks County Batman bailed again, which we anticipated, we were not going to let the party stop there. And we put these outfits on to show what we're doing here.
Yeah.
He's scared. He's running scared.
He's running scared.
And then we brought in, we had to bring in a heavy hitter.
Villain.
Chris Hoagland. Yeah, a true villain.
A true villain.
That's funny. You're the least villainous person I know.
That you know of.
That you know of.
That's the whole point of being a undercover villain.
Oh, did we? Yeah, there's layers to that.
I mean,
you could possibly the best villain ever hiding behind the good guy.
Yeah.
Damn.
Dude, are you Harvey Dent?
Yeah, you could be Harvey Dent.
You're Harvey Dent.
Two-Face. I will say, though, one of the coolest things about Christopher's attire today is your penny ring.
Yeah. I'm very proud of these 2 rings. This is my mother's high school graduation ring that I got adapted to a pinky ring. Shout out to Mom. And this one was made... Yeah, Mom loves the gunshots, too.
Sorry, Mom. Didn't know you like gunshots.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how our aunt rolls, or my aunt rolls. She's a bad lady.
Yeah. She gets stuff done. She's a good lady. But
if you need to like buy a car and you don't want to pay list price,
talk to Marianne.
Forget about it. You take her and she's a dealership terrorist.
That is heavy family facts. She will. Yeah. Dealers don't want to see her on the lot.
They don't, dude. I guarantee you, my Aunt Marianne, I guarantee you there's pictures up in dealerships around a Cadillac, Jeep, you name it. She was like, my mom needed a car. My aunt showed up every time.
True.
Dude, when I was a little kid, I'd be like, why is Aunt Marianne here? I'd be like, we're going to buy a car today. Be like, how's that make any sense?
Made all the sense now that we're older. And the penny ring is for my grandmom. Whenever we're going through some struggles, we find a random penny from her from heaven. So I got this custom made with the year my mother was born penny in it. So my 2 favorite ladies are with me all the time. So
damn.
There it is, the gunshots.
Which grandmother is that? Is that my grandmother?
It is the grandmother on my mother's side. So
not my grandmother.
Not your grandmother.
Damn it.
Yeah, not Nana.
Yeah, what would Nana leave behind? Like a dog? Like every time I see a Shih Tzu, I think of Nana.
Facts. That and ice cream Snickers bars.
Yeah, ice cream Snickers
those are
bars.
so good, dude.
Yeah, she had those.
Muffin and Popover, the dog. Shout out to Muffin and Popover.
Yeah,
rest in peace.
Dude, we had some good pictures of Nana in her house. She had this picture. She literally looked like Queen Victoria with 2 dogs. Like she had a dog sitting next to her and a dog on her lap. And I always look at that picture when I went to her house. I'm like, this is ridiculous.
Dogs on dogs.
Yeah, she always had 2 Shih Tzus. And then when she passed, she had 1 Shih Tzu. And my mom got that dog. And that dog, not to take the mood down, tried to die one day. My mom resuscitated it and saved the dog's life.
Holy shit.
He wasn't okay from he walked with he walked crooked from then on.
Dang.
And then when he passed, my mom was having an emotional day, and we grew up, and she'd always be like, you never buy a dog from the dog store. All right? Coco passes. My mom goes into Chamonix Mall, walks past the dog store, comes home with a Shih Tzu named Cosmo. After Cosmopolitan, my mom's favorite drink.
Oh,
nice.
Inside knowledge.
When those were rolling heavy back in the day.
Sex in the City
Shout
stuff.
out Cosmos.
Shout out Cosmo.
Yeah, she would go into La Stalla and they would just slide the drink down the bar.
Dang.
Line them up for Tiff.
Holy shit.
Yep. It's good times, man.
So your mom saved a life.
My mom saved a life one time.
Have you saved a life before? Have any of you saved a life before?
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, I have been a part of a little bit of a saving situation. I don't know if we're going to talk about it on here.
So is it running a family, saving lives?
Nah.
No?
Nah, I think my brother's probably the only one that's continuously saving anybody's life.
Shout out.
Shout out, dude.
No.
Yep. Technically, my brother has been on the podcast before.
Has been.
He has been discreet, like in the background.
In the background,
In the background. Nobody knew he was there.
Oh, that's the spot.
That's how you know how he is.
Yeah, that's perfect Timbo spot.
I think that Bucks County Batman has a lot to worry about when Timmy comes back.
Bro.
That's not even competition. Like, what are we talking about here?
Because
Bucks County Batman and the Timbo Slice.
Yeah. That is Timbo
Ever
Slice.
since the pork chop guns.
Yeah, Timbo Slice. Yeah. This episode, I wasn't really sure what was going into this episode. I knew we were going to kind of recap and bullshit on some family stories, which is always hilarious. Mm-hmm. I'll give Christopher and possibly his brother full credit for teaching me not what curse words were, but how to curse as a child. Like, there, in every man's life, you know, there's things that are sacred, and like using profanity appropriately, like every man remembers the man that taught them how to curse. Usually it's your dad. He educated us on the words, but there's like a style to cursing.
There's a style
successfully. So, you know, cheers to you.
Well, there you go. That'll go on my tombstone.
Taught Andrew how to curse.
And on my LinkedIn as another trait that I have. You need to learn how to curse.
2 years of Spanish, expert in cursing. You keep it, you know, close to the chest nowadays as adults should, right? You're a well-spoken man.
Depends on the you know, you got to read the room. You know?
You okay?
Eagle Sunday, might let it fly.
You gotta let it fly.
But
it's like those birds, baby.
Yeah. But a business meeting, you know, sometimes you got to keep it a little, you know, professional, as they say.
As professional as two gentlemen in Joker suits.
Okay. Well, I wouldn't say this is a business meeting, but if your mother and my mother might listen, who the fuck knows?
It could be, man. We could sell you something. You never know.
Yeah.
I'm trying to sell them on love.
There you go.
Jillian.
Just Jillian.
I'm trying to get my man rear naked choked.
Hey.
But anyway,
resuscitation will be necessary.
He doesn't tap.
Oh,
that's what he's saying. Dude, like, is the gun still loaded?
Where's all the ammo's over here now?
Yeah, keep reloading this shit.
But like one of the things that I appreciate the most in Christopher, aside from all the joking, is that like whenever I'm having like a hard go at things, like no bullshit, probably not even he's probably the first person I call. Usually talk some sense into me. I feel like you've been through a lot and like we know each other and we're very similar in a lot of ways. So like anytime I'm, having a moment or just like not going so well, I'm just like give Christopher a little shout and puts things into perspective for you. And I would say that's probably like of all your other, silly skills, I would say that's probably like one of the coolest things about you is, your level of growth as an individual. A lot of people don't put that type of work into themselves. And I would say like over the last like 5, 6, 7 years, actively working on myself, it was really helpful to kind of have someone that, you kind of like were ahead of me in that growth path. So when I started going through it, it was like a little bit easier to kind of be like, oh, this is how people are doing things nowadays in terms of developing themselves.
Yeah. One thing that I really have come to understand in my own growth is you're not as important as you think you are, but you're more important than you'll ever realize. Because there was people that went before me when I needed to make some decisions to change my life around that were like giants in my life. And it's like, if they could make these positive changes and if they could grow, then maybe if I do the next right thing, I could be that way. And it knocks me to my knees every time that someone comes up to me now and is like, listen, I've made a positive change in my life because of one of the quirky sayings I say, like triggered at the right time, or like, I love the quote that your character's currency. Like you might not have $1,000 or $1 million, but you could be that guy that makes the room better. You know, how when you go into a room, do you rob from the room or do you elevate the room? And that isn't something you can fake. You can fake it for a moment, but it gets sniffed out real quick when you get around real people, you know. And there's some people that walk into a room and you're like, fuck, this guy again, or this girl again. But then there's some people walking, you're like, yes. Like you walk into a party and you see that one guy with gold grills. And you're like, this is going to be one of those nights that we talk about on a podcast in 10 years, you know? So,
I would also say that you're the king of pop-ins.
Strong pop-in.
Better than Kramer?
He's a strong pop-in guy. Like Chris has popped in on me at the beach. Like literally I'd be on the beach.
Strong.
I've been on the beach and next thing you know, Chris is sitting next to me on the beach and I'm like, this doesn't surprise me at all. Everyone else around is like, where did this guy come from? I'm like, he just is a homing pigeon. He knows, like, he just like locks into where I'm at and comes and checks in.
So can we go a little deeper on that for a second?
Take it.
Okay. So I forgot about the beach drop-in. That was
multiple beach drop-ins probably.
Right. But the one that I'm thinking about was, I'm going to say Memorial Day circa 2012 or 2013.
I believe it was the year the earthquake happened.
Sure. Random, but a lot of earthquakes have happened.
The Jersey Shore earthquake.
Oh, gotcha. But I remember I popped in. I think I saw you on socials, jumped in the Jeep, went down, said what's up. It was a bit wild of a party, and I had just made some lifestyle changes. Stopped drinking because I was a mess. And I knew I couldn't stay the night. Had such a good time, though, during the day. Woke up the next morning, drove back down to Sea Isle just to hang with Cuzzo the next day.
I remember what he's talking about. This weekend was around a July 4th weekend, I believe. And we were down at Avalon the one night. And the girls we were with, like my girlfriend at the time, a couple other girls were like dancing, having a good time. And this dude at I believe it was the Avalon Club, was like filming the girls on his flip phone. And I smacked the phone into this guy. And this guy was a bigger dude. And I looked him dead in the face. I was like, what are you doing? And he got a little aggressive and I wasn't worried about it. And I said, hey, I'm going to untuck your shirt. Because this guy had a polo on tucked into his khakis with a sweater over his back.
Oh, what a pussy.
Very hot.
Yeah.
And like everybody I was with has a vowel on their last name and comes from Philly. So like it didn't need to escalate, but I was just like, I'm going to untuck your shirt if this goes any further.
Yeah.
The gentleman who was bouncing that particular room, this guy looked like he was a very large black gentleman that might have played football and just didn't make the team that year. He came over and I remember he put his hand on my shoulder. I looked up at this guy, not even worried about it. Saw his earpiece his ears were so big, the earpiece was held into his ear by a Band-Aid. And he looked this preppy guy right in the face, the Winklevoss twins. It was probably the Winklevoss twins.
Might have been.
He looked this guy right in the face and he just was like, you're gone. And the guy was like, what? And I just smiled. And that was it.
You're out of here.
And that weekend was out of control. And I remember when you came down, I was a bit worried about you. And then you left, which I was like, all right, cool. That was the adult decision here. And then you showed up the next day, and I was like, perfect.
Back at it.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Back at it.
And one of the cool things about the way you pop in, it's always welcomed for me. You've popped in. Like, I've had house parties in the city that, like, I technically
Christmas in July.
I should. Yeah, Christmas in July. That was a wild party, too. And, like, Chris is one of those people that, like, was important enough and I was close enough to that, like, I should have invited all of these times and just didn't, because I knew if he had the time to come, chances are he would just show up. It was like he was literally Batman.
Whoa.
Oh, shit.
Joker.
Okay. Yeah, the Joker.
Don't disrespect.
Oh, no,
yeah, I'll put respect on
Batman.
that name.
Batman.
Right,
Yeah,
come on.
the Joker.
What Batman?
Yeah,
Not
he's
real.
Well, all black, everything. That's not my style.
He's not real.
You are a colorful guy, and you are never really that serious unless you have to be. So I would say that you are a Joker.
Thank you. Thank you. Shout
Yeah.
out. Shout out.
Shout
Yeah,
out.
the Joker.
Shout out.
The Joker's a real thing. the Joker's a villain, but in reality,
Is he?
Is he though?
No.
You just trying to have fun.
No.
He just was trying to have a good time. If Batman didn't exist, would the Joker have existed? Probably not. So, like, Batman's a catalyst. He's not really a good guy.
He's not.
He's a Dark Knight. He's a villain. He's just kind of doing Batman stuff. Whereas the Joker, how many jobs did the Joker create?
Oh.
Right? In the beginning, he had like 10 guys. By the end of the movie, he had like hundreds.
Yeah, he had a whole mob.
And he was literally paying them millions of dollars to find Batman.
Yeah.
What was Batman paying? Batman was driving around in his car, being all fancy with his equipment. The Joker literally was a grassroots operation.
Dude, he had union workers.
Yeah. I mean, look at it this way. The Batman, how many guys do we know that just have expensive cars and, they're cool, but like, what are they really doing here?
Well, Batman's he's divisive.
I mean, I don't have too many great things to say about Batman.
Yeah.
But the Joker, he wasn't about the money.
He was not about the money. That is true.
Burnt the money. Now, I know everybody's trying to monetize this and that, but it goes back to my previous statement. When he would show up in a room, the mood would change. There would be laughter. There would be bright clothes. Wasn't Harley Quinn his
Oh yeah, he's got a really
quality.
His wife is a quality woman.
Quality woman that was very eccentric, bubbly, outgoing.
Yeah, she was a strong, independent woman, and you have to be a type of man. You have to be a strong male to attract a strong, independent woman like that. Mm-hmm. Harley Quinn didn't need anybody.
No.
She was her own woman.
Right.
But the Joker loved her.
Mm-hmm.
So does the Batman love anybody? Because he gets his girl killed in the first movie. Right? Would the Joker have gotten his girl killed?
Probably not.
Probably not.
I also want to say I'm very uneducated on this topic. So I don't want to see it in the comments of all you Batman nerds. But who's to say he didn't get his parents killed?
Damn.
Gunshots.
Damn. That's crazy.
Yeah, because we don't know what, like, was Batman like, I want to go see the play tonight?
Yeah.
Clack, 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 clack.
Oh, right. The pearl necklace hitting the ground and stuff.
Have you ever danced with the devil in the pale moonlight?
No, I have not.
No.
Yeah, Batman doesn't have a family, bro. He doesn't love anybody.
He got...
It's by himself.
Yeah, but did he cause it? Like, when your parents get divorced and they're like, it's not your fault. Like, they weren't around to tell him whether or not it was his fault or not.
It's his fault, bro.
It's his fault.
He's a little bitch.
That's why he's running scared from the Joker. And now there's 2 Jokers.
No, it's 2 of them,
Technically
bro.
3.
Could be 3, yeah. Yeah, 3 possibly.
Yeah.
This hat on, Joker.
Anyway.
Man.
Clockwork Orange.
When you... So, back to the drop-ins, like, that, like, spontaneity and, like, that lifestyle of, like, you constantly, like, correct me if I'm wrong, but like, you needed to constantly be doing something just to keep yourself, like, elevated. And I noticed, like, when I started, like, struggling on my, like, development journey, one of the things I realized I started doing was just doing. Like, I wouldn't think about it. I wouldn't be like, oh, is this event going to be, who's going to be there? I would just go. And that, like, momentum carried me into much greater things. The podcast, growing the business, now a networking event. So, like, honestly, I would say that your modeling of, like, what to do when you're, like, you need to create some momentum for yourself. You would never, I mean, maybe you thought about it twice by yourself, but when I would watch you, you would be like, that sounds fun. I'm going to do that today. And there was no questions about it. You were just going.
Yeah.
Whether it was like, hey, I'm going to drive back to the beach today. Today, I'm going to play golf. Today, I'm going to snowboard. I'm still very much working on, like, that part of my life, like being okay with, like, not having a plan. Because I'm very much the plan guy.
Yeah. I mean, for sure. Like, I think that we judge ourselves by our behind the scenes and everyone else by their highlight reel. So, like, we see, blah, 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 the guys that own a business or that have all the girls or have all the cars. And I took a note from you back in the day when we were having dinner and you're like, money's just fun coupons. Like, And that's easy to say if you have money, like, or not.
Fair.
You know, like if you're struggling to make ends meet, this does not apply to you at all. Like that's, you know, but like you also have to see, like, just do it. Like, move a muscle, change a thought is my favorite quote. One of my top 3 that was taught to me by somebody, like a mentor of mine. And it's so true. Like, if I sit down, I can overanalyze something 7 ways to Sunday. But if once I get in an event, like going to your networking event and just popping in like the Joker will do.
Dude, I literally said to Ariel, I was like, did you see Chris? And she's like, oh yeah. And my wife knows you well enough now. And she was like, I wasn't the least bit surprised that he was there. Right. I was like, neither was I. I was happy. He came in, conquered, and left. And I was like, that is great. I'm so happy that you did that.
Yeah. I mean, I was on my way up to coach a lacrosse game, and I was like, wait a minute, I can make this happen. And I love making things happen. I just think that there's such a value added to that like, you know, you got to make it happen.
Yeah, the fun coupons thing, I forget what movie they said that in.
Wolf of Wall Street.
Wolf of Wall Street. Fun coupons was something that like we heard guys say when we were kids. Like the guys, there was 2 different guys and they both had substantial, you know, net worth, and they were just like, look, like this is just fun coupons. And this past year, like struggling, like rebuilding the business a little bit and like getting that momentum back. Earlier in the year, I started finding myself, you know, worrying about money. And then, you know, I'm definitely coming out on the other side about worrying about money because everything was fine, everything's going to be fine, and everything is fine. But it is a struggle sometimes when you're so focused on money. It seems like you're just stuck in quicksand. So I've always tried to be not necessarily about the money. When people ask like if the podcast is monetized, I'm like, no. It's not. Like, we put an immense amount of work into this. We do get a lot out of it. We get so much out of it that we're still doing it. But the podcast and, you know, business, if you're always chasing the money, that's all you'll ever be chasing. And the money will always be just far away from your fingertips. The times that I find that I, you know, gain momentum with money is the times that I'm more focused on, you know, developing relationships, being friends, and being out in the world, you know, creating, you know, vibrations or disruptions or whatever. The money comes from that. You can't really just go get money. It's not the approach. So it's cool that you remembered me saying that. I don't even remember when I said it, but
it was our Christmas dinner we had together at the Union League when we were leaving back in 16, I think.
Back around Vietnam. Yeah, those were some good times living in the city. I'm glad that I got out of the city kind of right before, I guess we left in 2019. Mm-hmm. And it was kind of just the right time to go. I left on a good note. It's you know, you often hear people like that are on their deathbeds. Like, this happened with like my grandfather, right? Like, my mom didn't want us to see him in his worst state. So like, that was kind of like why when I left the city, I was like, oh man, I'm glad I got to see the city when it was like the best.
Yeah, it
could be. And, you know, I hope it comes back.
Yeah. I mean, I stopped working in the city in 2019, and you never know what good will come out of bad and what bad comes out of good, you know. So, but I'm so glad that I was not working down there during the pandemic. It was just seemed a lot of chaos, and there's been a lot of turmoil down there ever since. So
yeah, I don't know. You know, I don't really have a whole lot to comment on any of that, just because it's such a moving situation and such like it seems so big that I kind of have detached from the violence and the drama. I know murders are up, like, I think they're in the 500s this year, whereas in 2018 and 19 they were like 300 something. Yeah. So, you know, if you're judging Philly just off of that, I remember in 2018 or 2019 I went to a conference, and the conference was about like the future plan for Philly, and there was like a lot of politicians there and such people, and the plan for Philly was to put it on the world's map. Like, they were trying to take Philly from a town to an international city, and they had all these plans. And I remember that meeting really vividly, and nothing that they said they were going to do has happened. It's only, and that might not be their fault. That could have been, the pandemic getting in the way. But I was, at one point, I was like, wow, like Philadelphia is going to be like the place to go for people outside of our country. And I mean, it might still be, I don't know. Our nation, it's the birthplace of our nation. It's the first capital of the country, I'm pretty sure. Philly has a lot of great value, so I hope they figure it out.
Same.
Yeah, I hope they figure it out.
Yeah.
It might take a couple years. It might take some networking events. They should probably focus on getting a community together.
Yeah.
But one of the things that I heard, I listened to a podcast the other day with Joe Rogan and Killer Mike, the rapper from Run the Jewels. Are you familiar?
No, I'm not.
But this gentleman,
I like honesty.
His music is very, he's not afraid to say what's going on, like either in like the black community or the country or whatever. And when he was on the Rogan podcast, he said, some really profound things that gave me a lot to think about over this past weekend. And I beat Ariel's ear off with like the one subject. And the thing he was saying was like, you got to stop worrying about the president. You got to stop worrying about that level of politics. Worry about what's going on your street. Like if your street isn't doing well, why are you worried about what's going on in Washington? Like worry about your own street. And then when you're done worrying about your street and your street's doing amazing, worry about the town. And then when you're done with the town, then worry about. But like if you don't start with yourself and then worry about your street, like what the kids on your street are doing, the influence is there. Like if everybody was worried about their street, America would be a much different place. And that message was really cool because like we're putting a lot of energy into this, event every month for the goal of like Doylestown's not broken, but it can always be better. So it was cool to hear someone of like that caliber say like worry about your street. And that was very impactful for me. So
yeah, I mean,
good luck, Philadelphia.
Best luck, Philly. I think it comes back to accountability. And what he was saying is, worry about your street. Like people will complain about the thing that's the furthest thing from them or aspire for the thing that's the furthest thing from them. Like I want a 6-pack and abs. Okay. But like, what is your roadmap to that end goal? And a lot of folks, we're in the Amazon culture. Like I ordered it today. I want it by 5:00 today. I mean, I'm old. And I remember when you would have to mail order away for something and you were making comments on my future rings that I'm going to get for dating. And those are coming from the United Kingdom. And I'm like, what in the Sam Hill is going on here? I ordered them on Sunday. I want them Sunday. No, Chris, you need to practice patience. Not one of my strong suits at all. So they finally mailed today, and it says it may take 2 or so weeks. And like you were talking about my spontaneity, if you said to me today, like, let's go to Philly for dinner tonight, maybe a bad example because we were just saying Philly isn't the best, but let's just say, let's go here. I'm in the car, riding shotgun. Let's roll. But if you were saying, in 2 weeks, let's go to that same place, I'll think of every scenario of why it won't work and this and that. And it's like that, I like to have more faith than fear. But in my day, I know when I'm having a bad day, if my day's run by fear of like the what ifs. And I can what if myself to death. But sometimes I just need somebody to hold up a flat mirror to me and show me the honest truth instead of a funhouse mirror where I can see all my imperfections and all the fears that are associated with it. And you know what? If shit goes sideways, we'll deal. I think Bill Burr said it best. He's like, well, then you'll deal with it then. But like, why waste all this time saying what could go wrong? Like, just ride with it. And if it goes wrong, you'll course correct and move on, but
that makes a lot of sense. And that's probably why I don't invite you places.
Because I make sense?
No, because like, I'm like, he'll be there if you'll be there if you're going to be there.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that you know you're so welcomed everywhere I go. That makes me feel good.
If I'm not showing up with his gold teeth.
God damn it.
I love his gold teeth.
I wouldn't know.
What if
I forgot to wear them. He was getting me up.
What would you do if I had a gold tooth?
Cool. It's not my mouth.
Looks like I hit a
Smile.
pen gems, bro. Yeah.
We'll have to take a poll of the audience and see what maybe Jillian would like.
Oh,
that's for you, buddy. That's for you, buddy.
Yeah, wait.
Play a little matchmaker.
There it is. Telling you, Fred.
Finally, a new drop.
What? Yeah, we do need to update like one or two. Of
These are all pretty
Good shots and claps.
I wish we had Chinese music. Like ding,
Yo,
ding, ding, ding,
hit
ding.
that again.
That didn't come with the system. I uploaded that one because I was like, we need a horn.
Thank you. Love that.
We need a ship horn because everybody's wow, wow, wow.
Yeah.
Bam, 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 bam.
That's a good one.
We're here, Power 98 FM. I'm sitting here with my boys.
Come in, dress classy. Ladies in free till midnight. Bang, 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 bang.
One thing that I will say about Chris is that he would definitely give Justin and Nick a run for their money in the suit business.
Yeah, you got some suits on you?
My man throws down in the fashion game,
and a set of suits.
He'll show up. Look, like Chris is one of those people. You do not have to worry about telling him the dress code. He's not showing up in sweatpants.
Yeah, as I sit here in joggers, yellow sneakers, and a small tie. Don't worry, this was cash.
It's all practical, man.
Well, I mean, we did say that. I'm wearing flip flops.
Yeah.
My pants are rolled up.
Yeah, I mean, I just think
I look
there's
like I'm
something.
shucking clams.
There's something to appearance. Like you can wear this. You could go to the same place 2 days in a row, and one day you come in a pressed shirt, and the next day you might go in with jeans on and a cutoff t-shirt and get treated completely different.
Yeah, what's your like motivation behind like dressing well? Is it look good, feel good?
Probably from my parents. Like my mother is major, just she's going to have an outfit for it. If there's an outfit to be had, and my father pretty much up until he retired, close to when he retired, it was suit and tie every day. Yeah. So it was just like, if you want to be that person, if I want to be the Joker, got to dress like the Joker. If I want to be treated a certain way, I want to represent myself a certain way. I'm going to speak a certain way. Now, if I'm hanging out with the guys at a tailgate in an Eagles game, it'd be kind of weird if I show up in a 3-piece suit and say, hey, guys, how's your lexicon? Blah, 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 blah. Like, okay, buddy, let's keep it moving. So you got to sort of not be a chameleon, but know how to read a room. And I think that's huge, again, in business and just in your personal life, so.
Read the room, dude.
Read the room, bro. Know what to wear.
I would say Gilmar is similar but different. Gilmar has like, you're a trendsetter.
Sometimes, yeah.
Yeah, like your fashion is forward thinking. Like you look really good, but you'll wear things. Like I've got these sunglasses on because you told me they were cool.
Yeah, they are cool.
So I'm like, I literally, between the two of you, I take very little fashion advice from other people.
Yeah.
It's just not a thing.
Yeah, that shirt you came in with today was nice. I like that shirt. I remember you wore that. This was a while back. We went to eat at Agricola, and you took Anna and I out because this was around when we first met, and I started working for you.
Oh yeah.
And you wore that shirt, and I'm like, that's a nice shirt. And I asked you about it. I think you said you got it from Gap or Old Navy. It was one of those two. But
damn, dude.
Yeah, that's a nice shirt, man.
I think this. It's definitely not Old Navy. It could be Gap.
Could be.
Could be a little Express men from the
It could be Express. It might be
it
Express.
Is a good shit.
I'm thinking about it.
Sometimes I'm trying to put more color into my uniform these days. I'm very much a black uniform.
Me too.
Let's get black. I'm a ninja. I'm getting in the night. But now that we're the Joker, like I'm feeling more comfortable. Like I wore like a blue shirt out the other night.
Oh shit.
And it was a little tighter than usual.
Oh shit.
I usually like to wear something, I'll wear a form-fitting shirt, but it's not like
snug.
Not like that, So I felt a little weird, but I got compliments.
Yeah.
In a weird color shirt. It was like Robin's egg blue. Blue jay something. I don't know.
That's a bright color.
But I almost wore it today.
It's very flattering
It
color.
is very flattering.
But I thought it was going to clash with my purple. So I
On
with
the gray.
I went with the gray.
I think for me, it depends on the time of year what I wear.
Yeah?
Yeah, like during the summer, I'm not gonna wear black like that. I'll probably wear some creams, some natural tones. But when it gets colder, that's when I start throwing in the blacks or the browns. You know, the fall colors. So I kind of sometimes dress according to what the weather's like, color wise.
I think I'm a sunglass guy now, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I already have, like, part of the issue with me is, like, yeah, this is not a secret to anybody. I got a stimulation situation going on. So, like, colors to me, sometimes it's just a little too much.
Yeah.
Like, I like to just, like, the colors affect me. So I'm like, oh, man, that's not my color because I don't feel that way. But then I started thinking about it. Like, I'm like, what if I want to feel that way?
Yeah.
You know?
It's a good.
So I was, like, thinking, like, maybe I could start wearing sunglasses and, like, just, like, filtering it out a little bit.
Yeah, right now you're seeing everything yellow, right?
Yeah, I feel great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Talking about color, do you guys see words as colors?
Yeah.
Do you?
What's an example?
So there's a thing called
Like purple, yes, I see.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah, so like yeah.
but I mean more.
We've talked about it.
Yeah, more like letters, numbers, or words. Do you see, for example, when you hear the word car,
Green.
You think of green? I think of red.
Black. Yeah, okay. I see
Yeah.
what you're saying. Like, what color do you associate with certain things?
Yeah, like
Yeah.
the letter B.
Yellow.
Blue. Sesame
Yeah, I
Street.
think of
Shout out
yellow
to
as
Sesame
well.
Street.
Oh, you think of blue? I think of yellow. B for some reason.
B as in boy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yellow.
I think yellow for me because of
Hey, boys.
because of B.
B, yellow. I'm shocked by this. This is,
What would you said blue?
yeah, B isn't, like, I grew up on a Sesame Street, so, like,
Okay, yeah,
association. But, like, why? Where does yellow, like, come into your head?
I think of the animal. So that's kind of where the yellow comes in
Insect.
for me. Yeah, the insect. Sorry. What the fuck? Jesus
Relax.
Christ.
Relax here, buddy. Read the room.
We're men of caliber.
I know
the
colors, but not my species. You know what I mean?
Yeah, dude, whatever.
Let me slide.
I got you, dude. I protect your back, dude.
That's the other thing I want
I'll
to talk
be
about
behind you.
is knowing how, like, what your limits are. Like, I hate when people try to get in conversations that you could tell they're completely uneducated on, and they try to just fake it till they make it. Not me. You start talking about science or animals, I'll defer to my brother. I feel like you need to know when to go to your specialist on certain things. But people that just, oh, this and that, like, if, you know, let me sit here and try to, like, oh, this is in the insect family, this and that. Like, nope, not me. I'll just sit quietly with my yellow sneakers on.
At that point, I ask questions. I just like to. I
Yeah.
want to know more.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll stash it for later.
Yeah.
And then Ariel will find me later, be like, what are you reading about?
Googling this shit.
Like, do you know about war driving?
No.
Do you know what war driving is? No. So yesterday I found out what war driving is.
That's nuts.
And went on a YouTube bender because the Ultimate Fighter was on, and Conor McGregor is now my least favorite person on earth.
Yeah, he's wilding.
He's a trash coach. Shout out Conor, you're trash. I used to look up to you so much, and the way you coach your team says everything I need to know about you as a man. So I just started cruising, you know? And I discovered war driving, and there's this thing where people have like these little, you know, Wi-Fi receivers, and they drive around and identify Wi-Fi systems, sometimes maliciously. So like people just cruise around, and there's this website that they all like upload to, and they get ranked for like how much they contribute to the site. And if you go to this site, you literally, like, you can go focus in on a town and like click on the Wi-Fi's that have been identified, when they were identified, if they're breachable, what the access level is. And I watched this video and was like, holy shit, people are doing this.
What the fuck?
Yeah. So that's what ends up happening is like somebody says one word and I'm like, what's that? I'm going to know everything about it in 5 minutes.
Someone just said this word and.
Yeah. I was watching like this computer, like a thing to like figure out how to like edit it, like just technological stuff. We got a lot going on here. And they were mentioning like, oh, like this, you know, you could set up a war drive receiver, like, and I was like, what the fuck is that? I've never heard that. I know about computers. Damn, right?
So does WAR stand for wireless or Wi-Fi access?
It stands for something like that.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Clearly didn't look up the acronym.
Did not.
But we dove right into a rabbit hole of YouTube videos for 2 hours.
It was 46 minutes probably.
Okay.
45 minutes.
There you go. Hey,
Which, like, knowing your limitations.
I don't
either. Like, I kind of just think that everything is like astrology, for instance. The other day somebody said something about astrology that made complete sense to me, that I was like, I kind of want to know more about this. And now I've been like reading about astrology.
Okay.
You don't get down on any of that?
No. I'm just ignorant on the topic. I just associate it to like oh boy, how do I say this?
Gypsies.
Yeah, like gypsies and like all the stereotypes I hear about.
Oh, I'm an Aries, so
yeah,
crazy.
Like in dating, like the girls in New York that are like, oh, your chakras don't align with mine because I'm a Pisces and you're a water sign and all this, and I'm like,
yeah, that's garbage. I'm not into that. But what I was like learning about was right. So like you're turned off to astrology, right? But you can admit that the sun has an immense influence on the planet Earth.
Yeah,
it controls gravity. It controls everything. So the thought that the stars and planets and all these other things, how are they affecting us that on levels that we can't potentially acknowledge?
Right. And I don't want to say that. I'll just correct one thing or ad-lib. When you said like I'm turned off by astrology, I'm more ignorant about astrology and turned off by some of the associations I've had with while dating with it. So that's why I just want to correct that. Astrology, I got love for you.
There you go. I'll be completely transparent about it. Last night, I took a break from astrology and ended up on the war driving train because I was waiting for my mom to text me what time I was born. So I can read my star chart. I literally have the messages right here. I go, do you know what time I was born? She goes, yeah, kinda. And I'm like, no, like what exact time? I need you to find this. And she's like sending me pictures of my birth certificate. She goes, I thought it would be on here. I was like, I need the information. I was born in Frankfurt Hospital, by the way.
Frankfurt Hospital, where's that at?
I don't know.
Frankfurt.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
1:53 a.m.
For
myself, yeah.
1:53 a.m.
Yeah, Nana made us. I think it was Nana made a little cross. What's that called? Where you
crochet?
No, not that one. Like a cross knit or needlepoint.
Needlepoint. That woman could point.
Dang.
Who you're talking, dude? She'd make you some pillows.
That'd be fire.
Yeah.
My Nana was,
she was very creative.
She was very creative. Didn't hug me a lot.
Good with her hands, though.
That's fine.
But good with her hands.
Yeah,
she'd make you something.
She'd make you something if you want to hug you.
She'd make you something, but she would not tell you she loved you.
Dang.
Just got deep here.
Dude, straight up. Do you know the band Scorpion?
No.
It's like a hair metal band.
I don't.
My grandmother babysat me and my brother one time, and my brother jammed the Scorpion tape into her cassette thing so it couldn't come back out, so we could only listen to that. Because Timmy rides on that level. We're talking like 6-year-old Timmy.
Timmy's wild, bro.
Yeah, Nana dropped me back off to my mom. Usually we'd stay with my dad's parents, a little bit younger. Nana dropped us off and said, I'm never watching these children again. The only other time she watched me, I was sick and like my mom had to be somewhere. So like I stayed at Nana's house on like Easter or something.
Yeah.
But other than that, I look back on that and I'm like, damn, I don't really know Nana.
So
we never hung out with her.
Christmas Eve, Christmas night.
Yeah, Christmas. We used to throw down at Nana's on Christmas. And the coolest thing about my Nana's house, for those of you who actually know my brother now.
Oh yeah.
My brother's warrior journey started in my Nana's house.
Let's go.
Right?
So true.
So true.
We'll say this
We'll say this
to this day.
to this day. Warrior Timmy, our nation owes him a debt of gratitude for his contributions.
Because of a
pork chop dog toy.
Dang.
Just so happened the pork chop dog toy kind of resembled a gun.
When you turn it around, sorry, Aunt T, but the boys weren't allowed to have guns. Timmy, you cannot stop a soldier spirit.
You cannot keep a warrior off the battlefield.
No way.
He would turn that thing around, bang, bang, bang. I remember it like some core memory.
Yeah, dude. We used to like when we got to Nana's house. My brother would like dump out of the car faster than me. Yeah. The fucking Sable station wagon back in the day.
Damn.
And that, he would have
and we'll come back on the wagon. That was mine.
Oh shit, we can bring that back. So he would get out of the wagon practically when it was still fucking moving, so that he could get hands on the piece before
nobody else was going to take.
Nobody else was going for the dog toy. Timmy was gonna wield that heater.
Yeah.
Right. So the pork chop, like it was just a pork chop, but if you turned it and like held it like a fucking gun, it was like a 38.
Yeah.
In
with the bone out.
With the bone sticking out.
With the bone out.
And my mom was like, "No guns," and then. Look where that got us.
Turned into guns.
He's he's like John Wick without the martial arts.
Yeah.
But
bringing it back to the Sable though, that was your first car, was it not?
So no, second, because I had the 89 Sable from my mom that my brother had that went to me. And then when your mom was, working with Let's Make a Deal.
Oh yeah, dude.
My mom.
Your mom dealed on my mom too.
They made a transaction, cash transaction, to where I would get the tan 91 Mercury Sable. Oh, that was a.
It was a Ford, because my grandparents had the Mercury version. And I think my mom had the Ford.
Yes, because the little lights in the Mercury.
The front, the whole dash, the whole like front of the car lit up.
Yep. That's hard.
And let's bonus footage here. When I had the red wagon, I put red lights in there.
The cops didn't like that shit back then.
5-0 was not a fan.
Damn.
When I drive around
right over.
I drive around now though, and I see like Jeeps, all kinds of cars with like red LED headlights or the ring around, and I always look at that and I'm like, dude, back in the day my cousin caught the charge for having red headlights, and now it's totally okay. Same thing with tinted windshields. I used to get in so much trouble for that. It's actually really nice.
You tinted your whole front windshield?
Yeah.
That's nuts.
What car was that?
Acura, I think.
What kind of Acura?
CL Type S Vortex supercharger, no big deal.
Jesus Christ.
Bolt on.
I don't even know what that car looks like.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
But it won't affect your life at all.
Yeah.
But I'll text you later tonight, and we'll both be on YouTube watching videos of it.
Yeah, rabbit hole of Acura.
War driving on an Acura, dude.
You said CL?
CL Type S.
Well, I know what a TL is.
He's just saying
Type S
letters.
is important.
Oh, yeah, it's fucking fast.
Dude, a little bit of heat.
He's and just saying letters at this point.
Yeah, dude, just the debits and credits.
Yeah.
Debits and credits.
Sure.
Yeah, so the cool thing about the Sable, me and my brother were wild children. So we, like, one time we loaded our bicycles.
Still are.
Yeah.
Were wild children.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah. I'm not going to, whatever. So we loaded our bicycle. Me and Timmy were doers. We were single moms. So, like, Dad wasn't going to load the bicycles into the car for us. We will figure it out. It was never a problem. I'm not going to sit here and be like, never a problem. The man boys would figure it out. So this one time we had these two mountain bikes, freshies, and the handlebars had like those like mountain bike handlebars on them.
Hell yeah.
And my brother and I are like fighting over how the bikes need to go into the back of the car. And we just decided like, we'll just fight until the bikes are in the car. And so we're just throwing the bikes at each other, like just arguing, fighting, trying to slam the trunk shut on the bikes. Like finally, I don't know who actually did it, but we just aggressively shoved the bikes into the back seat, and the handlebar went up into the ceiling of my mom's car, like punctured the ceiling and ripped it.
Oh shit!
She was livid. Me and Timmy didn't see the problem. We were like, we don't understand the problem here.
It's in.
The bikes are in the car. We're going to the park. The park was canceled.
Damn.
And so Christopher ended up getting this car, and my mom slid one last digger in right at the end, and she was like, "You're lucky your cousin doesn't care about this."
Oh.
And I was like,
yeah, I would have cared about it if I saw it.
it's like, dude, I don't think he has a choice, Mom.
Yeah.
Sucker.
He got a good deal.
Yeah, I never noticed that.
You didn't notice in the trunk of the car it had like the rip in the ceiling?
Yeah, whatever. Beggars can't be choosers. That's the problem with America nowadays. Thankful for what you get. Thanks, Pops.
And we were
Thanks, Mom.
we were like Chris and his brother James were like our older brothers. So like me and Timmy were always well informed.
As cousins should do.
You got to look out for your younger man. Like my brother and I
play on words.
Yeah, oh, that's true.
Oh
Damn,
man,
that was a good
license
one.
plate.
My mom did have a license plate. Oh man, I think she still has it.
I hope she does. Aunt T, put that on Instagram. She is. We need to get on that. Aunt T, you are on Instagram and you send me the most reaction likes in my DMs from my stories, and I appreciate them all. If I don't like them all, I appreciate you. I hope this camera's on.
It is on. It's
because I don't see anything on the screen.
It's over right here.
Yeah, usually we have the screen on, but we're getting away from the screen. It doesn't really add anything to the show.
It's
It would
fine.
make
The
me
iPad's
realize if I look like an idiot. So if I do, this is for you, America.
No, well, we actually never show the cameras on the screen. That's the internet.
Yeah.
We look.
We can bring stuff up.
We can bring stuff
Yeah.
up.
Oh, this is like
But when
Rogan.
when we change venues to the new
Start
surprise,
having Gilmore look stuff up.
the new surprise venue, we're gonna do it differently.
Probably, yeah.
I think we're gonna all sit at the table together,
Yeah.
at least for the first
All
episode.
at the table.
We'll see
With
what's
the
up.
guests and like I think like me and Gilmar on one side. You know, the boys are coming on next
This is
week.
an interrogation.
Oh, the
The
boys.
boys are coming on next week.
It sounds like an interrogation.
Well, we'll try to leave we'll let you see the exit. You know
Hold
what I
on.
mean?
Wait, so you can put the internet on the screen?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Can you look up an Acura type ABC type S?
yeah, dude.
We need,
Look it up.
I need to see this fire. So in the meantime,
Yeah, the Sable had a hole in the roof. But what was cool going back to like having big brothers is like Chris oftentimes was like when we were that age, like our family was going through a lot. Like it felt like for a good 10 years, our family always had something going on that was unfortunate. But the fortunate side of us was like we got to hang out. I remember when grandfather was really sick, like despite him being sick all those years, the coolest part or I guess we can say the downside of him passing was that like we kind of stopped spending time together as a family. Like because he was sick. Yeah, it was that one lower right hand corner of those 4 pictures. Literally that car, but murdered out. Yep. Boom.
that's the same one my buddy had.
Trouble.
Mm.
And
Sorry.
so
I just always wanted to
we
say
like
it to somebody on a podcast.
on the unfortunately grandfather was very sick, but we got to hang out a lot. And I remember one time we were in your driveway and you guys were like putting LEDs or something in Kevin's car, and this was like a teal green Accord.
Yep, his first car. He cut the lap belts out of that. Stupidest decision ever.
So this
Love that kid,
it's
but
it's the middle row, second from the right.
Yeah, that might be the one.
That's the one.
I see the rip in it.
That's the piece, dude. That's what that's what my mom had.
I put about $40,000 worth of lights in the inside of that.
So
thing.
$40,000.
Subwoofers, dude. That
that's
thing vibrated apart.
That's 1998 funds.
They were putting these purple LEDs in the car. Me and Timmy were like, dude, we're gonna go out with Chris and Kevin. My mom's like, no, you're not. There's no seatbelts in the car. You got to be out of your mind. We're going home.
She would have let us go.
My brother put up a little temper tantrum. We got to hang out with Chris and Kevin a little bit longer that night. My mom was like, you know what? Well, I'll have another drink.
Sick.
Yeah.
It was easy move. And my brother turns to Kevin and paid Kevin the most impactful compliment on Kevin's life. My brother compared Kevin's Accord to a BMW.
Oh, shit.
He's like, oh, is this a BMW?
Yeah.
And Kevin looked up at my brother. My brother's sitting in the driver's seat, like watching Kevin work on the car, like put the light in the thing. And he looked up at my brother and he goes, that's the nicest thing anybody ever said to me. He's like, you can ride with us.
Yeah.
But yeah, you got the shaft when it came to first cars because I think your brother had like grandfather's Cadillac.
So
I remember riding around. Your brother would like pick us up or take us to get ice cream and stuff in the Caddy.
yeah, that was that grandfather's? I don't know, but I think that was the white Caddy with the, I don't know what it's called, but a lot of Cadillacs have it behind the on the coupes where they have that
The vinyl.
Vinyl.
Roof. Yeah, it had a vinyl
Like the
roof.
half vinyl. That thing, oh, yo, that was so pimp. I wish I would have Kid Rocked that thing. I would have took this $1.47 cane and been like, let's do it.
Yeah.
He had subwoofers in the trunk.
Yeah, it was
banged.
white with blue vinyl on the top. We talk about this. I love talking about old cars. Like, I think everybody that's listening to this can relate to this. If anybody's still listening to this, like
They are.
like your first car is so like, I swear you could sit down with anybody and be like, what was your first car? And like the memories just come flying back.
Yeah, man.
And like you said, like that teal Accord that Kev got from his sister. I had the 89 Sable, the 91 wagon, and my brother had the 89 wagon, and then he got upgraded to the Cadillac.
Yeah, that thing was a boat. You
And
felt safe in that.
When that died, what did he go to? He went from a hand-me-down to my dad. Then when it came time to the next car, my parents were like, you know what? We're going to buy Christopher the Jeep because James can take the wagon back because he doesn't treat cars like Christopher treats cars.
That's so true.
Like, I would wash this thing and, this and that. My brother, he's more what you would call laid back in his cleaning style. So he just sort of, he's very learned and very educated, but just to him, like putting on airs and showing off to people isn't his jive. And he wants things that is, so if he needs a newspaper, it's right there in the front seat. If he needs his Wawa drink of choice, it's right there in the cup holder still. So, because of that, I got the 2000 Jeep Cherokee. Love that thing.
Damn.
Yeah, you rocked the shit out of that.
Only got rid of it because of the 4-door Wrangler. Loved it.
Yeah, that was sweet. I remember James's Cadillac. He had a subwoofer in the trunk, and then he needed room in the trunk, so he put it in the back seat. And I remember one time we had to make a decision on who sat in the back seat with the very loud subwoofer, and we deduced that, Timmy would sit back there, but then we realized that Timmy wasn't strong enough to keep himself from getting crushed by the speaker. So we would turn and he would literally hold the speaker.
No way.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And here's how much time I spent in this car. The move was like we would go to my grandfather's house to see him. And he was sick for a lot of years, but he was doing really well at different periods of time. But, we were spending time with him, and I didn't realize why because I was kind of young. And they lived kind of close to our grandfather. So my brother would immediately find James and convince James to take us back to their house so Timmy could get a gun.
What the
Toy
fuck?
gun.
Toy gun.
Toy gun, okay.
Toy guns. Like, because they were older than us. So they had like all the toys that like my mom wouldn't let us have.
Yeah.
So we would go over to their house and James would have like, Nerf guns or BB guns or, plastic, like all kinds of toys that like we just would go into the toy room and be like, whoa.
Super soakers.
Super soakers.
Speak
So
on
like,
it.
yeah, there was this one like MP5 looking gun that my brother just had to have in his possession. If James was around, taking him to get the piece.
Yeah, man. Yo, I had cousins like that too, that they always had shit that we weren't able to have.
Yeah.
My one cousin had a PS3 or a PS2, and GTA, I think 3 was out around that time.
Yeah, that was a divisive game.
Yeah, man, I couldn't play that shit because obviously I didn't have a console, but I would go there. They'd have a whole back room full of toys like wrestlers, and they had a treadmill, and we used to put the wrestlers' heads on a treadmill and shave the faces off. Dude, we did this
Explain a lot of things.
We did the stupidest shit, dude.
I just punched my face. That is the funniest fucking.
That's dark.
Dude, we've all done shit like that.
We've all done stupid shit like that. Yeah.
Yo, in light of 4th of July, I was driving by myself. Maybe no. We were driving up to the lake to hang out, and Ariel looked over at me and she goes, "What?" And I didn't realize, but I was laughing because I remember like thinking, I was like, we drove past a fireworks stand, and I remember when we were kids. Oh man, Tim. Sorry, but we had fireworks at our disposal because like my dad for a period of time lived down south, and when he came up he brought us fireworks, and like one day we were sitting out there, my brother was like, if we took these apart and combined them, what would happen?
Yeah.
And I looked at him and I'm like,
Let's find out.
To the garage. Yeah, we found a razor blade in the garage. Like my mom's garage was like a single lady's garage who like our dad had left. So like there was just like, and then she dated a couple dudes who left shit behind too. So there was just tools, random shit that like we just get into.
Yeah.
Well, we'll go see what the garage has to offer us. Like our default move was go to the garage and just figure out like what was in there. And then when we discovered the attic, that was like a whole nother fucking treasure trove of shit. Like there wasn't anything up there, like, but like we had to be up there.
Yeah,
like, it was like we're gonna be up here now. Like this is
yeah.
our space. It's 100 degrees outside. We're up in the attic hanging out.
Sweating.
So we found a couple razor blades, like penknife ones, like not even like legit razor blades, like rusty ones. They've probably been there for like 13 fucking years.
Yeah.
And we cut the fireworks up and we made one big one. And, and like we were going to light it off and we were like, whoa, stop. Like we should do,
Warning.
This took hours of work. Like we should do something with this. So we got one of those like we had this like thing called, I think they were called Cool Tools, like KOOL. And it was like just little fake tools that like, you would give kids to be like, oh, you got a tool set.
Yeah.
So my brother, we dumped out the Cool Tools set, loaded the firework into this plastic toolbox that was like this big, and we put it out on the deck, lit it, came inside and shut the door. Like to this day, my mom is still picking up pieces of plastic in her backyard. This thing got blown up so large.
Material here, bonus.
Yeah, bonus material, man. Dude, we were like 9 and 7.
Oh, bro, if you have a brother, you do the worst shit, man. My brother and I, one time we took a kitchen knife upstairs and threw it at the wall and see how many times we get at the stick.
Yeah,
dude. My parents came out just fucking holes in the fucking wall. We were just throwing knives at the fucking wall, dude.
Yeah,
everybody's had that kind of day.
Having kids is just, I mean, not that I would know, but from my friends or from the kids I coach, like they do some wild shit. And it's like questionable. Like,
what's coaching like for you though? Because you're getting the kids like you're not dealing with one kid.
No,
you're dealing with the team dynamic. Like, do they ever gang up on you?
Yeah.
Yeah,
of course.
What has that taught you, like being a coach?
Well, it's taught me how to not take myself so seriously. It shows me the power in numbers because these kids, well, when I had the kindergarten lacrosse team, we called them the bobbleheads because they look like bobbleheads. And that was just, my parents got the biggest laugh out of watching me try to, and the one lady was like, you didn't give, my kid isn't having fun anymore. He needs to be more involved. And I'm like, your kid literally says to my face, I don't want to be here, and he can't catch and throw. I don't know what more I could do with him in a lacrosse setting. The other wild thing is now coaching like the 5th and 6th grade team. And I think this is...
So there's like 12-year-olds?
Yeah. This is my favorite age group because I remember being in 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, and like that's clearly, I'm not being like earth-shattering here, but a very formative time of all our lives. And I feel like just to be a role model for somebody at that time really means something to them, even if it helps in the smallest way, like, to associate with a positive thought later on. But those guys, man, if they get on you about something, it's like a tidal wave. Like, it might be a little wave here, and then the more and more and more catch on. And it's just like, all right, I guess I'm Coach Chrissy now. And finally, Andrew would like this. I finally took the power back, though.
Dang.
Okay.
You little fuckers. Love you guys. But whenever it would be like, Coach Chrissy would be like, take a lap. Take a lap. I just made him run, and they're finally like, oh, man. And I was like, I might be in a jerk, but like, I think you need to establish rank and order.
I had that happen at the gym. There's a young lad in the gym who's probably like 15, and he, tried to sneak a choke in on me when I just like was hanging out. Like I was just sitting there trying to get a choke in. He didn't complete because can't allow that to happen. But I said to him, I was like, look, man, there's a reason before we wrestle, there's a reason why we bump hands and like touch fists. And I was like, why, right? And he was like, no. And I'm like, because we're acknowledging that we're friends and I'm not going to hurt you. I was like, if you ever try and choke me again and we don't bump fists, we're fighting. And I just stared at him. I'm like, we're fighting. And I wasn't kidding. Obviously, I'm not going to beat the shit out of a 15-year-old. But, like, I was like, hey. Well, we don't know until it happens. And right now, I wouldn't do it. And I haven't done it.
Right.
So you're only judged on what you have done.
Yeah, exactly.
You're only judged on your actions.
Not your intentions.
Not your intentions. And I love this little guy. And I looked at him in the face. I'm like, not joking. And I smiled. I was like, let's do it. If you want the smoke.
Well, I think that all goes back to like, and I don't know anything about it, but like back to even like cavemen. Like you were showed the right way to hunt back then by an elder. Like I was shown how to dress for a job interview by my dad. I still to this day close all my drawers in my wardrobe because of grandfather. Because every time he would come over our house, I would make him come up to my bedroom and look that I closed all my drawers with no clothes hanging out because he instilled that in me. And it's little stuff like that, like if you can give that back to the next generation, like we're only here for a short period of time. So like as corny as it is, like people will remember what you taught them, for far longer than you get to hang out with them, and
yeah, I had I'm friends with a very successful builder in this area, and we were hanging out with him on July 4th this past week and with his family, and he has 3 young sons, and it was amazing to see, when you see someone that's like an amazing dad and you're like, that's how I want to be. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't how he was acting. It was how his kids were acting. Mm-hmm. They were like these little young gentlemen. They were fucking off with each other, but they were,
as you should. But
they were supportive. They were taking care of, like, they have a little sister. They were watching out for her. Mm-hmm. They were communicating. We were like, and I said to him the next day, I was like, you know what, man, I really appreciate you giving me, like, inviting me out yesterday. Not just because like I love hanging out with you, but you have very impressive sons. Mm-hmm. I was like, I want you to know that. Like you may already know that. Yeah. But the intention he had behind his parenting is something that I'm like aware of and is on my radar and is largely the motivating force behind like my self-development now. Whereas previously, like my self-development was, being at peace with myself, and then getting married and then wanting to like make sure that I have an excellent relationship with my wife. So like developing myself on that level. And like, as we get close, like as we talk about having kids, I'm looking more and more at like what type of father I want to be. Mm-hmm. And how I like the books I'm reading now are, not necessarily geared towards being a father, but it's like how I'm conducting myself to people as individuals on a daily basis. I'm very much acknowledging and starting to realize like another level of flaws in myself that I need to tidy up, because I cannot have like that impressionable mind around and like have like I will be disappointed in myself if like I don't create that environment that like is their ultimate environment. And so like it was cool to see someone the other day that like a bunch of dads, right? Good dads. We all know good dads, but like when you see a great dad,
yeah,
who's also a great husband, you're very much like, damn, like that's it. So that was really cool, and I always really much appreciated hanging out with your family, because like the way your dad conducted himself, he was very calm, and like I don't think I've probably seen your dad raise his voice, and it was probably at my brother. But I remember
a lot of airplay here.
I remember one time my brother and I were doing Timmy and Andrew shit at their house, and we were down in like, do you remember this? It was at like a picnic or something like that, and we were down in like the the drain system beneath like the neighborhood.
Oh, that's facts. We used to go in a sewer all the time. That was
we used to hang out.
That was awesome. And my dad would take the grate off the sewer and lower us down in there. Like that was 80s and 90s kids shit. Like,
did you remember Did you remember when my brother found the gun?
Yeah.
Yeah, my brother found a .38 revolver all rusted. My brother picked up a gun in the sewer.
Imagine that Timmy found a gun.
Looked me in the face and goes, "Is this a cap gun?" Handed it to me, and I go,
"Don't shoot it."
I've never felt a cap gun that's this heavy. And we were young kids, and we knew my dad early on identified in both of us that the firearms like it's not a preventable thing. It's like you have to get ahead of that. You have to educate to make sure that like if my dad wasn't there and a gun came up, we knew how to safely handle it so that an accident didn't happen. We weren't allowed to just have guns, but like God forbid something ever happened. And
you're in a drain and you find a gun.
You find a gun, or a Columbine happens in your school and a gun gets dropped. Like that was probably my dad's thought process. Like if a gun falls out, like how do you break a gun down? Like how do you make it safe? Knowing that. And so he handed it to me, and I looked at him and I was like, well, let's get out of here. And we brought the gun out and we handed it to an adult. And I remember your dad pulled us aside, and like the emotion your dad had, like it was like one of those times you're like, holy shit, this man cares about us. And like I remember like just like your dad was really good at like just being calm and speaking his piece and not speaking when it wasn't going to be effective. Like I saw a lot of different times where your dad was either frustrated with you two or frustrated with us or all four of us. And like you would just see him just kind of grimace a little bit. And you're like, we just fucked up. And that power is something you want to have as like a father. Like you don't want to be a screamer. No. Right. So like I always appreciated hanging out with you guys for that fact. And grandfather was kind of the same way. Yeah. He was very much like this cool, calm, collected, like, I served in World War II and nothing's bothered me. And it was cool. Like that was very impactful for me. But we found a gun in the sewer.
Damn.
Yeah. On that, like if I could be half the man my father is, like I tell people, like I would be more than proud of my life. Like he real quick, like a business story, something I take into the role that I'm in now is I remember we were at one of the hospitals that he was running, and I was, 8 years old, just little kid stuff. And we were getting lunch and the table was dirty. He grabbed the water bottle and the towel, and I didn't know what my father's role really was, but I knew he was important because whenever I would go to his office, there was an office outside of his office, and there was a special drawer, like file in there for my Three Little Pigs puzzle, and I could sit in this big chair and, just that type of stuff. But he went and cleaned off the table, and I'm like, Dad, you're like the boss. You don't have to do this. And he goes, never get so big that you can't do every task. And that has stuck with me for over 30 plus years. That like, again, your character, like I never want something to be said behind my back that people have to second guess. Like, did Chris take that, or did he do that to that person? Like, I want people, if it's said about me, to be like, no, like I could never see Chris doing that. Like, and I guess subconsciously or consciously, I learned that from my father. And I even say like to my brother, like he just always is like, okay, I'm a oversee this, and he'll give us wisdom. Like I've learned so many things about building things and how to change oil on a car, like dad stuff. And I know that means a lot to him. So, also reverting back to things that your older siblings and or family that show you, one thing I always laugh about to this day is The Simpsons, because we would be at Nana's house and I would put that on and you guys weren't allowed to watch it, and your mother would come in and she's like, what are you doing? Turn this, very funny, Christopher. Like, and I'm like, oh, I thought it was funny. Like, I mean, you were, 5, I was 10, Timmy was just born, James was 10. Like, that's how, but.
Yeah, it was, it was really, there was a lot of double standards in our house. Like, we got away with murder as kids. Like we did. Like we were just like animals, and my mom was like, testament to her. Like she, like as single moms go, like we were two savages, and like looking back on that, I'm always like, dude, like when did she do anything for herself? Because like you go to work and then she'd come home and deal with us. Mm-hmm. The weekend she was dealing with us. Like I look at that and not with regret, but kind of like, damn, I wish there was, and I don't know if it's proper to say like a male influence. Cause like my dad was around, like he influenced us in a lot of ways, a lot of positive ways, like especially in business, I think. But there was no one in our house that we were scared of. Right. So when we went around and like hung out with their parents, I was scared shitless of Aunt Marianne.
Yeah.
Right. We did not play around. I remember one time you guys had a skate ramp and we were staying at your house for like
so unsafe, so unsafe.
The summer, which your quarter pipe ultimately led me and Timmy to build an entire half pipe in my mom's backyard. That's the kind of shit we did to my mom. We would convince her of things.
Yeah. Or just do them.
Or just do when we realized the power and, like planning.
Let's look back on this, how unsafe things were back then. Like there's no way, and I know I sound like an old person here because I am, but like kids nowadays, like they just don't like this thing was, I don't even know how you would explain the driveway situation, but it was a slight decline towards what my father built was, I mean, you're the builder, Bob the builder here, not me. It was
a decent quarter.
It was a sheet of plywood on whatever type angle or grade or whatever convection, conveture,
concave,
sure, on a good frame, and we would lug it out to the front. This is because of my brother. He wanted it, and we would skateboard down there. We didn't have helmets. We had helmets, but we didn't wear them.
This is the first year of X Games. His brother was really into the Olympics.
Still is.
And then when the X Games came around,
yeah, that's right.
James was like locked in, taped everything.
Individual sports is his thing.
We watched all the X Games because James had it on tape.
Dang.
So of course we had a quarter pipe. So we're
bombing it.
My mom's busy, single mom. So I don't know how long we spent. Felt like forever in this one summer. And I remember and this was like such a pivotal lesson your mom taught me. You went you hit the quarter pipe and you ate shit. And I laughed at you and you chased after me to beat my ass. And I got to the garage door, almost into the house, into safety. I was like, if I could just get into the kitchen, I'll be safe. Aunt Marianne will protect me. I got like just into the back hallway. Chris fucking drills me in the back. Oh. I complained to Aunt Marianne as I'm getting my ass beat. And she's like, well, you laughed at him when he fell. Do you think that was good? So I'm like, you're not going to correct this shit?
Don't remember that.
And like, she literally was like, yeah, but he fell down and you laughed at him. Do you deserve to get beat up? And I remember being like, oh man, I'm on my own. But I'm not going to laugh at someone that falls down like that ever again.
He turned out okay, folks, if you haven't realized. Like, he's okay.
He's
better for it.
Yeah, you guys, I would say that I wasn't, like, when I was a young kid, I was totally convinced, like, we were talking about it on the episode with Anthony Sherman, like the Three Ninjas and karate. Like, me and Timmy thought we could bang with adults. Like, you mouth off to me, I'm gonna punch you in the face, grown man. And I largely attribute that to WrestleMania and my relationships with my cousins. Like, I was like, dude, if Chris and James, we get rough and get like one of us inevitably, the fun always ended when somebody got hurt.
Yo, so wait a minute.
So when you got older, you were ready to go.
On that topic, I will never forget, and you were talking about grandfather, and I will always remember him for a couple things. Riding in his Cadillac up to Vermont, listening to books on tape.
Yep, backseat.
That was the OG stuff. And when we would get together as a family, we would go to Vermont to go skiing / snowboarding. And the four of us boys would fight in the parking lot. And inevitably, parents would let it pop off until Like, yeah, like there was suplexes.
Like my brother would jump off a car and kick. Because he was little, he would get up on the roof of my mom's car and like just throw kicks.
But like until somebody started crying, then it was like,
but so like once somebody got hurt, like we'd all like get around them.
Yeah, like shut the fuck up.
Yeah, you're fine. You're
fine. We're good.
I laugh at those memes all the time on Instagram when I see them because I'm like, yeah, that was Timmy in a parking lot of Vermont.
Yeah,
you know,
it was inevitably like occasionally I got hurt, but it was usually Timmy that got hurt.
And I went back up
and
there
now
last.
He's tough, dude. He's the toughest person in our family because of it.
One of the toughest people. Period.
Yeah, legitimate. His nickname is Timbo Slice.
They named Kimbo Slice after him.
Yeah, you
go. Yeah, I mean, those things. I went back up there last year to go snowboarding, and I sent a picture of that bed and breakfast to your mom. Like, and she's like, "Oh, that's so beautiful. I can't wait to go again." I'm like, "Let's roll."
Yeah, my mom's still convinced she can go skiing. I think she physically could do it, but I'm very worried about her taking a spill.
Oh. So my dad goes with me every once in a while, and having parents as they age is like having kids. Because I'm like, you need to help them with the Wi-Fi password. You need to do this with them.
So true.
And then like they're retired now, so they're out living their best life as I'm growing my career. And I'm like, well, the shoe's on the other foot here now. And I'm like, well, just spend the inheritance. I hope you guys are having a great time. Like, you earned it. You put up with my shit for long enough.
Yeah, I hope my mom bounces her last check. Like I've told her before, like, do not leave anything to us. Like, I do not care.
Yeah.
My dad cares a little bit more about like leaving stuff to your kids, and I've been like, okay, I appreciate that notion, but I hope you bounce your last check too. Like, spend it.
Yeah,
we'll be fine. We're doing fine. Like, there's your money is not my money.
Right. Right. Yeah. I mean,
but I'll step it up on the family stories. So like, I'm covered in tattoos, right? His mom's the reason.
Why is your mom tatted up?
No, she's actually very against tattoos.
Oh, okay.
But my Marianne would roll up to when she occasionally came to our house. She would show up with gifts, and very early on she would show up like with gifts and temporary tattoos.
Yeah.
And me and Timmy would just get in my mom's bath and powder room. We would just get tatted up by Aunt Marianne. She'd be like, "Yeah, look, I brought you a dragon." Oh. And my mom would be like, "No, they got school pictures. They got camp pictures next week." And my mom would be like, "I'll work on her. I got this. I'll make a deal." Yeah. And then your mom was the deal maker, because when we were the savages, we were like a carabiner, like a rock climbing clip. My brother was always like obsessive over one thing, and this one particular year, my brother was obsessed with a carabiner. It was like a $30 piece of metal. My mom's like, "I don't have the money for that bullshit. Like, I'm not buying you a carabiner for no reason. Well, you don't even rock climb. You're 6.
Yeah.
What do you need this for?" And my Aunt Marianne was like, and my brother was like, we were getting like calls home every day, and we like at that point, I don't know how old we were. I think he was maybe kindergarten, and then like my Aunt Marianne showed up one time and was like, she had this calendar with stickers, and it was the Good Timmy calendar. And she said, if you could get 30 days of good reports from your teacher, you could get a carabiner.
Almost impossible.
She would buy him a carabiner, right? That 30 days was a moving 30 days.
Jeez.
It would start over. My brother would be like, "Oh no, I fucked up. I'm never gonna." The whole ride home from kindergarten, like my mom would be driving home. My brother would be hysterical, right? Because he fucked up and now he's not getting the carabiner. So to calm him down, my mom would tell him, I won't tell Aunt Marianne. So like my mom was literally teaching my brother that it was like, okay, my Aunt Marianne was like trying to help my mom.
Yeah.
And my mom, just to get my brother to stop crying, would just be like, "Oh no, it's okay. We'll just move the 30 days. So you can start over." Yeah, it took him like a year and a half to get it.
God damn.
Actually, he just got it to his last birthday.
Yeah, I think eventually he just like saved up enough money. He just was like, "I'm gonna buy it myself."
Yeah,
and like they were like, "All right, we'll get it for
money
him."
will solve all problems.
Yeah.
No,
Dude, I'm feeling good after this little.
Like mom, I'll never forget this. So I was somewhat of a problem child in like, I mean, I don't know if I was a problem child, but like I was, a lot of young boys, they get into mischief, a little bit of trouble. Recess. would always be my downfall. I'd be doing something. I think one time I was throwing pine cones at the young ladies.
Nice.
Very early on, trying to assert dominance to try to, get attention.
Instead of peeing on them.
Yeah. So then, but like my mother, to keep me out of trouble, would come in as the aide for recess, and this I'll never forget it. We would gather the pine cones up, and then we would smother them in peanut butter and seeds, so everybody got to take home a bird feeder, or we hung them out back of the school or something. And that's something like, so when you said like a calendar for Timmy, I'm like, yep, that's definitely something Mom would do. Like facts, like there's always some sort of like making some, or like tattoos, like the temporary tattoos, or all the kids in the neighborhood would get like face paint by my mom, and like, oh, she would always have something.
She always had like the lock on like that year's present.
That's cool.
Mm-hmm.
Like
she was the activities coordinator.
My mom would like obviously buy it for us, but like if you wanted something for Christmas, you had to make sure Aunt Marianne knew about it, because like
Not Santa.
she would go shopping with my mom and tell my mom what to get us. So things like
Power Rangers,
the Power Ranger shit.
That was a fight, a Clover.
Yeah, dude. Damn, dude. Like, and Aunt Marianne was like, if there was a toy that year, because back in the day there wasn't, like now I'm pretty sure you can get any toy anytime you want. But back in the day they'd make a limited amount of toys. So if like you wanted like the Green Ranger
I think
sword,
there's still a supply and demand, Andrew.
I don't buy toys for kids, so you could be right. Makes sense.
Funko Pops.
So
PS5s.
she would get she would always make sure she got the toys, like whatever radio station she had to call, whatever coupon she had to get. Like if she had to go buy something to get the coupon to get the something, like we were getting it for Christmas.
Nice.
Well, you know what? Another great story, which again, this is like a walk down memory lane, but like my mother called us out of school sick to go see the Ninja Turtles 2 movie, because you got a free Ninja Turtle giveaway for the first so many. So obviously after school, all the little brats got to go. But my mom called us out of school sick to go get this free plush doll and see the movie.
Oh, that's awesome, man.
Yeah,
that's why I always say to my friends.
Tamagotchis. You remember Tamagotchis? It might be too old for you, but like these little robots. Dude, we were the first, like me and Timmy would always be the first ones in our school to have something because of her.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure.
Wow.
Yeah,
your mom's
I don't want to take credit away from my mom.
Yeah,
but like
it was teamwork.
It was a team.
Yeah, team. Yeah,
it was a team.
They worked together.
My mom had a lot on her plate.
Yeah. That's
For
sweet,
sure.
man. That's so cool.
For sure. Yeah, dude. And I guess like the funniest part about going to grandfather's house, though, now that I think about it, I'm like seeing this Jeep here, was like my grandfather was a World War II vet. He was a fighter pilot, correct? Yeah. So he had guns, right? And when my brother caught wind of this, like James and Christopher or something, like had like maybe you guys like went shooting with your dad and grandfather or something like that. My brother's like, wait, you guys got guns here? And your dad was very adamant to be like, there are guns in this house, but the ammo is one place it's hidden. The guns are someplace else it's hidden.
That's good parenting.
You will never figure out where they are hidden, right?
And he's probably right, but one was like in a sock drawer and one was probably like in a shelf. Like, but when you're 12, like that could be like Iran and Asia.
Yeah.
You know, like
where do we start?
Like a 40-year-old when you're 12 is like, this motherfucker's been around since the Ming Dynasty.
This
like,
sorcerer. Yeah. So we went to grandfather's house. My brother caught wind that grandfather had some pieces and
some heaters.
My brother convinced my grandfather to show him the guns.
Yeah, that was a big thing.
Like, let's see the guns. And didn't ask Mom. We superseded that completely.
Definitely should have never asked. I mean, what was she going to say? Yeah, guys, I don't let you have a gun, but go look at the
better.
guns.
And like my brother was like I guess he was staying with grandfather for a couple weeks or something like that. I had camp and we waited until I got there and we went in. He's like, all right, took us over into like a spare bedroom in his house. Yep. And he was like, I'm going to go get the guns. Do not follow me. You do not know where they are. They're in his bedside table. So we're literally sitting in this room on the bed, like waiting for the guns to come. And we can literally hear him in the other room, like open a drawer. I'm like, cock the shit up, like drop the mags out. Whenever comes back with like a Colt 1911, right? 1911, my brother. So like at that point, the fate was sealed. His brother was really into like history and war memorabilia and stuff.
Yeah.
So like his brother always had army shit, and grandfather
Facts.
had guns.
Paintball
So, like,
for life.
we have a picture of my brother in army fatigues with like a kind of like a kit, like a vest. It's different back in the day. And we have that picture in my mom's house right next to my brother in like a deployment photo.
That's cool.
So we got like my brother, once he had that fucking gun in his hand, like I knew that day that like my brother was either going to be a cop, a soldier, or something, like looking back on it. And then when we worked together, like my brother worked with me like until he joined the service, and he finally made the announcement that it was time for him to go. There were a few people that were very surprised. My mom was a bit surprised. I think she was more just stunned. But when he made that realization, I was like, I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you figured this out, because like a lot of us knew, like what my brother does now. Like we all knew what he was gonna do. It's like, yeah, that boy's gonna protect and serve.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that's what it is. Like you just have that protective instinct, and just like hit the, like it wasn't like a creepy obsession. Like he understood the mechanics. Like he knew like this gun does this, this gun does this. You need, all that stuff. My brother would, every military book in our school library, my brother had checked out. Like he wouldn't return it. Like he would just look through the pictures.
Checked out for the summer.
Just look through the pictures, and like we didn't get to spend a lot of time with my grandfather because I believe there were some challenges between him and my mom early on in our childhood. And then when we met him, we were kind of like, he showed up at our house one day with a trampoline, and we were like, who the fuck is this guy?
Yeah.
Who is this guy? He looks like he just jumped out of Indiana Jones. Like he looked like the old guy in Indiana Jones. Yeah. And like was well dressed, at a nice Cadillac. We're like, who is this guy? He's like, your grandfather. And I was like, is this our trampoline? Is this a deal? We're making a deal here? And I very much regret when I was a child. I don't know if I picked up on the energy from someone else, but like I had like a problem with the guy when I was really young. Like I just didn't when he was around, I just didn't feel comfortable. And then one day he would come over occasionally for dinner, and my mom would make lasagna, and he would sing this lasagna song, like, oh, lasagna. And he had like this snap. And after he died, we found out he fucking hated lasagna. So like every time he came over, he was eating food he fucking hated.
That's fucked up.
But he brought us this encyclopedia of like aircraft one time. And we were sitting there on the floor in my mom's family room, and he had this book out, and he was like, this is the plane I flew. Mm-hmm. And we were like, what?
What?
And he was like, yes, like the Corsair. I flew this in World War II over Japan.
Yep.
And from then on, my brother was locked. Like he was like, I'm doing that too. And like I remember that was the time that I changed. When I realized, like, I was like, holy shit, this old man's a warrior?
Mm-hmm.
It just completely changed how I looked at him. And then things were good for a few years, and then like he passed, but like I very much was like, damn, like now when you like, I know so much about history that like it was like, I wish I appreciated earlier on the contribution that he had made or his experiences, so I could have like absorbed that. But I was very young.
Yeah.
Like when he died, I think it was like 12, maybe.
Yeah, 1999.
Yeah, so 11.
Yeah, I felt that way with my grandmother's past. They lived through so much shit. And I just wish I had more time or was interested in those things at the time to talk to them about it while they were alive. Yeah. But you can't really, I try not to kick myself about it too much,
No, but like there's times like when this podcast hasn't come out yet, but my friend Joe Teresi was on, and he was talking about like he's a great guy. And like we were talking about like, dude, like what, like why are you this way? Like why are you such a good dude? Like it doesn't make sense. Like I know like your family, everybody's cool. Like I understand why you're a good guy, but like you're a step further than that. And he was talking about like his grandfather, and like he's like, yeah, like I just never want to disappoint him ever, because he did so much to like get me to where I'm at. And he's no longer with Joe and his family, but he was like, that's what he thinks about. And I've recently kind of like, especially after that podcast, I was like, damn, like I didn't know my grandfather. I didn't know, like, I'm sure he had flaws and I'm sure he made mistakes, but overall you're like, damn, like, what was he about? Like, I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's a great story about, as whatever, but like sometimes in life you got to eat the lasagna you don't want to get those memories, know? And like, if it's not going to ruin your life by making this sacrifice, like sometimes you got to sacrifice, sit at a round table of something that doesn't interest you just to make that memory. And I think now you still have that opportunity to like, we had one friend of the family, her name was Fuzzy. She lived to be 103 years old or something like that. And this woman was active up a 3-story walk up until I think the last year of her life. Like, when I met her, I thought she was like 75 or something. She was 98 or something because she stayed active. But one thing my brother, brought up, because my brother's more into like history and thinking that way, we would sit down with her and ask her, like, what was it like when, like, just stuff that you read about in a book, like when women first got the right to vote, like, or this or that. She was born in 1919.
Damn.
So like, you think all the stuff she saw, like this civil rights movement and like all these things, and even now, like being in the college book industry and talking with freshmen, like 9/11 is in history books now, like been there for a while, and they're like, yeah, I wasn't born when that happened. And I'm like, what? Like, so I think it's great to sit down and just hear people's experience. And that's why I love, 2 reasons I love golfing is because a lot of times I have to do it myself. So I get paired with strangers. And the other thing is the problem solving aspect of it. But when I get paired with strangers, I just wish that I was a millionaire and owned a golf course for this reason alone. I would make one Saturday a month free to anybody. But the caveat is you have to come alone and you have to golf with a random foursome. Because by the end of that, that's like one of the last places I think on this earth where you can just casually get together with people. And by the end of the 18 holes, I better understand you because we've had, generally you're not on your phone while you're golfing. So we have to interact and communicate. And then, some people just want to be, as you call it, jerk-offs. And
it's jerk off.
Thank you. But most people want to interact. Like, unless you're having a horrible day or you just don't like society, if you get somebody talking about like themselves, their history, like anybody that's listening to this podcast has seen like our excitement come up talking about our past. And like, I'm sure anybody, like I said before about the Cards, can relate to their first Eagles game or this or that. Also, cousin stuff. I'm still mad that I gave you my Eagles starter jacket back in the day because that thing was fire. And I know you still don't have it because right now that would have been money on the open market.
That's a
How
good
much
jacket.
are we talking?
That's a good jacket.
Christmas is coming.
If it's vintage and original starter, you can probably get. Like,
I'm gonna talk to my guy J Money.
Yeah.
Vintage.
Yeah, talk to your boy J Money.
Dude, he
that thing was clean
procures
and,
vintage clothing.
Yeah, I remember. I think it was a gift from your mom or somebody, and I was like, Eagles green. And those memories and that means so much. And that's why when you can give of your time to somebody, you can listen to any motivational podcast, they'll say this, but like, it means a lot. And
yeah, I'm reading a book right now by Dale Carnegie. It's a very old book.
How to Win Friends and Influence People.
That's it.
If you haven't read this book, I haven't. I may have read the book, but I've listened to it on tape 45 times. Like, it just teaches you how not to be a jerk off.
Yeah, I would say I accidentally learned a lot of the stuff in the book by doing the podcast. Like, I wasn't always a great listener, and then the podcast has very much changed how I talk to people. Mm-hmm. Like, I definitely, and maybe that's just getting older, but like I definitely, like when I was younger, I needed to be heard, and now I've gained so much from just like talking to people about their stories or their journey or their circumstances that now I'm kind of addicted to it. So when you talk about like doing that random foursome, like that's the podcast,
right?
I know you, but most of the people that come through this podcast, we either don't know at all. Like they've done something to get on the radar and we want to know more.
Right.
Or there are people that like we do know, and then we have this opportunity to connect with them on a different level or wavelength. And me and Gilmar have left the show a couple nights, and that person will get in their car and drive away, and me and Gilmar will just kind of stand there and be like, whoa, that person was so freaking cool.
Yeah. I mean, everybody has a story.
And that's happened more times than not.
It's a shame. Our society is a beautiful thing that we have so much technology that we can, I remember being at the dining room table where we would have to go to the encyclopedia and look stuff up. You don't even need to be near a house and you can look, it's at our fingertips. How we utilize that for good or bad is our choice, but like it also robs us of sitting down and having the need to speak with someone else. Like I'll be the first to admit, and it's kind of pathetic, but like there'll be times where I'll pre-order my food because I don't feel like having to go in and like sort it out with the people and like make payment or whatever, even though it's a tap of my wrist. Like it's just so much easier, just like, okay, bring it to my car. And like, is that the best thing for me? No, it's quite lazy, but it's also quite convenient also. So where's that medium? And it's shocking when you can tell the difference I can feel the difference when I go to someone go out of my way to be nice. And I call it out of my way because we are just programmed to be sort of pricks, at least in my experience. So when I open a door for somebody and give them a smile or like take a moment, there's a guy at my building that notices my shoes every day. He sits out front and I sort of look for him now, and it's no secret I have 70 pairs of shoes.
Christopher comes out new boot goofing, like doing a little dance for the guy every day. That's what I picture, just throwing it up for him. Like, hey, buddy.
And like I walked out and I was wearing like maroon shoes with a maroon shirt today. And he's like, what are they, brown? He goes, I said, no, they're maroon. They match the shirt. And he goes, oh, I couldn't see with the shine. I said, that's my aura. He goes, or that's my glow. He said, you said it, not me. But like, it's those little interactions that we don't realize how important they are. And I don't, know how much I can contribute to an entrepreneurial podcast and this and that. But I do think if I could contribute anything, it's like listen to someone's story, tell someone your story, and realize like you're not alone in anything. Like I said, I chose a different way of life over 12 years ago to rectify some issues I had with alcohol. And it was always like, oh, well, nobody's going to understand this, or nobody's going to understand how I feel. And it wasn't so much the alcohol. It was just that like, I didn't feel like I was good enough. But then I talk to people and you see this guy and you're like, oh, he's the coolest guy in the room. Like he's it. He's, and then you sit down and you hear his story and you're like, so I'm not alone. He's sort of like me. Or we say like, there's a circle in the room. It's like throw your problems in there or throw your problems down. And I guarantee you grab yours back real fast when you hear everyone else's. And it just, there's some days I'm able to trick my mind and of like perspective of like, it's really not that bad. And like, how big do I want to make the monster in the room? So it's sort of like that. And like with dating, like I've been single for a while now and trying to get back out there, and I try to listen more, to hear their story so I can better like see if we gel than trying to force the issue. For so long in my life, I tried to put a square peg in a round hole and like jam it in and force it, make it work. But sometimes you just gotta be like, you know what? This isn't, meant to be whatever it is. I bought a guitar, got it home, hung on my wall since, because I have no rhythm and can't read music. I call it expensive wall art, but you got to just work at life. Life's like a puzzle that never fits together. You just get better at it. You get worse at it. You get better at it. And hopefully you meet some cool people along the way and do some cool shit and realize that you're a decent person. Unless you're a psychopath, then I can't help
you. Word.
Dang.
Yeah, I agree with all that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. That's a good perspective to have.
Yeah, it's helped me, and I'm a selfish prick. So, I'm an egomaniac with an inferiority complex. Like, look at me. Oh shit, don't look at me. Or if one hair, like I can be in a room of 1,000 people and I have 99 comrades, friends. But like, I know one guy thinks I'm a loser, and it's like, I'll just be real meek and in the corner now. And you need to fight that fear and like step up, at least for myself. I don't know how it works for other people. I've never been another person. So, you know.
Where's he going?
Let's get some gunshots for that.
Did Rambo just take himself for a walk?
No, he's right there.
Or he's hanging out?
Yeah, he's right there.
Yeah, damn, dude. What about? I guess we'll end it with the ring you got coming in the mail. What's the deal with this?
I mean, this is not a paid sponsorship, which
I just found it.
It should
unique.
be now that I'm bringing this up. So what it is it's a social experiment, and it is just a silicone ring that's teal in nature, and what its name is a pear, like the fruit, and ring. I just realized it means pair ring, like you pair a device.
Pair together.
Yes.
Or pairing like wine and cheese.
Exactly. Or like the Eagles on a fine fall day. Go Birds.
Peanut butter and jelly.
Maybe. I've had about 5 of those in my whole life. So
you're a terrorist.
Aunt Marianne. You know Aunt Marianne always had meals.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, dude.
But anyhow, this ring, you wear it and it signals to other people that you're single and you're open to communication with, and there'll be supposedly events, and it's sold worldwide. So instead of trying to do the online dating thing anymore, which is just algorithm based and makes you feel less than, because you wake up, you look at it, and if you don't have a match or a response, it sets your day off in a negative mood where like, you know, you're already feeling less than because of rejection. This, I'll just wear it around, and if it works, I will be utterly shocked. But, you know, I've wasted $25 on dumber shit.
Are you looking it up right now?
What?
The pairing?
No, I'm not. No. Sorry, I was responding to something.
Say sorry. Don't say sorry.
All right.
You're the producer.
Yeah,
you're just wrong.
I say sorry to you.
Okay.
I don't.
You're running the show.
He doesn't.
No, you're the
I
guest.
did not say sorry for you not wearing your gold teeth today.
Yeah, my bad, dude.
I missed them.
That's what I'll say sorry to.
Shit.
Shout out Fem Gyms.
Yeah, shut up. They exist, though.
Yeah, they exist.
I'm excited to see. I love social experiment.
Yeah.
That? I love anything that is one positive and moving us into the direction of like connecting with one another. A lot of people are worried about AI, but I very much think that AI is going to bring us together more than it's going to like kind of separate us, because people, whether or not they realize it now, like long for social interaction. A lot of people that have these anxiety disorders and stuff like that. I'm no medical expert, but I really think that human beings are better off together and supporting one another, and, you know, what have you, and all of that, you know, catch lingo. But when I saw you do, like, you know, you posted about it, I was like, I looked into it and I was like, all right, skeptical. But if this works and is positive and brings people together, and, you know, I'm all about that.
Yeah. I mean, it's a pack mentality, and I by no means am an expert or a medical professional, but just from my own interactions, like when I'm alone, the broken toys in the attic, which I call my head, cause more bigger fear. A lot of times when I'm with other people, if there is a true threat, I at least don't feel alone, and I hope I'm with some real G's that we can mitigate and we can be safe. But also, it's like I disperse the fear among my friends or my comrades, and we can at least not have to carry it all on my own. So I think if folks would just get back to talking to one another, like, hey,
actually talking to one
yeah,
another.
or even just bullshit talking to one each other, but be
not
genuine.
Not liking each other, like,
I mean, like physically, like verbally communicate. You would see, and it's genuine. Like, hey, nice shoes. That, and it sounds corny, but like that could save somebody's life, or just make their day better. Like, you don't know, like their wife could have just left them, or their best friend could have moved to a different state, or the Eagles could have just lost, which was traumatic in its own right. And something like, yo, man, I really like your shades. Like, And like so us as men, like when you said there was a compliment before, I was like, was it from a man? Because if another man compliments you, shit.
Yeah.
That's some real, like that's some real on a limb, because we're wired to say like, rah, 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 you know, but if you say like, man, I like your shades, it'd be like, thanks, man.
Yeah.
You know, like.
Yeah, I definitely am really trying to get good at, you know, seeing people for who they are and where they're at on their journey, and then being that person that, you know, recommends a book, or, you know, see someone that, you know, maybe I need to listen to this person for a couple minutes, or, you know, just talking about their problems.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know a lot about helping people, but I know that most of what helping people is simply just being there in a positive way. Right. So that's definitely you, man. And I would say that, you know, you kind of spearheading on your own personal journey, you know, sobriety and then personal development and everything like that. When it came time for me to embark on that journey, you had already been comfortable with talking about your issues, that I was like, oh, you can just say what your problems are. I'm like, you can just say it. You can just, like, you know, dinner table, just be like, just blurt out your issue. I'm like,
yep,
totally gonna be that guy. Yeah. And you know, it wasn't always like well received, and sometimes, you know, it hurt in different ways. Like people were not receptive, or they were critical of you, or they were just like, whatever, dude. Like, but they're, you know, staying consistent with that, and, you know, opening to Gilmar, or different people I worked with, or just being like, this is how things are going, and not trying to be so guarded, has helped me level up in like a lot of different ways, especially professionally.
Yeah. Well, I need to thank my brother, because he was the one that taught me, when I'm listening to someone, to say to them before I say anything, do you want me just to listen, or do you want feedback? Because there's a lot of times when us as humans just want to, you know, let it out, like vent, and just be like, I don't need you to solve my problem right now. Like, I just want to bitch and then get back on the horse and keep going. But
yeah, I was reading about Abraham Lincoln recently, and when he was making the decision to free the slaves or not, he was in a lot of trouble. Like, America at that time, despite what you want to say about the North, was very against him freeing the slaves for a variety of reasons, causing chaos. They might rise up, blah, blah, blah. It's going to disturb the peace, all these different things. And I forget what the name of the gentleman was, but there was one person that he sat down with, and this gentleman was like, I wish I could remember his name, sat there, and he said he listened to Lincoln for 2 or 3 hours and without saying a word. And at the end, like, they were just done talking, and he didn't pretty much say anything. And then Lincoln freed the slaves. It was just like that individual, and like, I'm very, very sorry, I forget his name. That individual was so critical in the success of that whole situation, not because he gave his 2 cents, which he could have, but he allowed Lincoln to divulge and drop the weight off of himself, which helped him clear his mind to make, you know, arguably one of the greatest decisions in our nation's history. So when I read that, that was probably one of the times where I was like, damn, I need to work on my listening even more. Because, like, you don't know what you're doing for someone. Like, giving someone advice, I'm inherently wired the way to, like, you tell me a problem, I'll tell you how to solve it. You know this. Like, you bring me a problem, I'll tell you the shortest way to solve it. And sometimes it's not about solving the problem. It's just about, like, some problems aren't solvable. You just got to hear them out, and then whatever happens next is just what happens.
Yeah, I used to be the same exact way, and then I just realized, like, you know, you don't need to solve every problem. Some people just need that event, just like you guys were saying. Yeah. So that I do that a lot now, where I just listen. You know, I'm like, oh, that sucks. I just try to agree with you or be a sounding board. At least. Yeah.
I mean, you also have to know, I have different friends. Like, I have different, you know, tools or different, you know, whatever metaphor you want to make here. But, like, I learned this from my mentor too. He's like, you have some friends that you'll go to with a problem about, say, golfing. And then I have some friends I'll go to about like serious financial life stuff. You got to know what your audience is and like who to go with there.
But you shouldn't take advice. And someone told me this at the Union League one time, a very old guy. He's like, don't ever take advice from someone that isn't where you want to be or has done what you want to do. He goes, if someone is telling you how to do things and they've never done it, just kindly nod and say thank you and don't be cautious.
Yes. What's the word for that we use? Experience versus opinion. Like when I talk with guys and they're like, well, my opinion is blah, blah, blah. Okay. That means you haven't walked the walk. Like you haven't been in it. But when you tell me like my experience is that you should do this because this is the result that I've seen. And you know what? I haven't been in that situation, but talk to Frank because Frank's been in it and he knows it. Like, so that's why if someone ever says to me like, oh, my opinion on that matter, like that's cool. We all have opinions on things. I have opinions on how to build a house, but I don't fully know how to build a house. So I'm going to leave that to the experts, but I have experience on the things I do. So that's the variant there.
Yeah. I definitely, I actively seek out experts now. Like I find that's kind of what the podcast is sometimes. It's like if I'm having, right now I've got some, future opportunities and it's like, all right, how do I manage this? And then I track down someone else. That's why it's so cool to like, we're recording in a business right now that theoretically I'm in competition with. Like if you think that way, there's enough work to go around for everyone. It's when, I have an issue or like earlier I had, a statement and Nick very quickly corrected me and he goes, no, that's negative thinking. Like that's, you're looking at it wrong. And I, instead of being, no, you're wrong. I was like, well, tell me why. And I just listened. And then like, I'm going to make changes tomorrow regarding those things. So like, it's very beneficial to seek out, that advice. So,
and take what you want and leave what you don't want. Like I learned that very early on. Like, I was golfing this past weekend and my buddy came up to me afterwards and I was tired and this and that. And he had some critiques of certain things, which, I didn't really think needed to be critiqued, but I saw him later at a 4th of July party. I said, you know what, man, I want to thank you. And he was like, thank me? What are you talking about? And I said, you gave me those tools that if I ever need to employ them,
deploy or employ,
use them shits, I can. Yeah, I now have that in my bag. Like I don't need to focus on them, but I now am more educated because of it, and it's those things that I think make a person, a character more unique. Like I could tie a bow tie, but I don't really wear bow ties anymore. I can do this and that, but, better than saying when I first got sober, I didn't have any hobbies. People say like, what'd you do this weekend? I'm like, stuff, I went to the Phillies game. Really, I drank in the parking lot till the 3rd inning, sat next to the beer guy till the 7th inning, then went to McFadden's till they closed it down, then would sleep at the Holiday Inn and do it all over again.
Do you remember the time you took me to tailgate the Phillies game? We tailgated the game started and we left.
Yeah, facts.
Because we're just there for the tailgate.
Yeah, we were drinking beer out of Snapple bottles because we didn't want to get in trouble.
That's lit.
Yeah. So, like
Chris was like, oh, that dude over there's got a football. Let's hang out with him.
Yeah. Like
I was like, what the fuck are we doing?
Yeah.
But I was like down for it.
Yeah, for real. And but I think now the thing I'm most proud of is like I truly have hobbies. Like photography. I'm not great at it, but like it takes up my time. It makes me feel more like interesting when I talk with people. And golfing and snowboarding and all these things that I gave up for years so I could go out party and be hungover. Now it's just like I realize I can be who I need to be or want to be. I don't need to be somebody I'm not, and I don't need to read 73 books or so that. I try to watch some documentaries because that's what I enjoy more, but I just am fascinated by people's stories. That's why I love podcasts. I love hearing the behind the scenes of like anything. So,
Dude, I'm glad you came on.
Yeah.
I'm glad we can make this happen today.
Yeah.
Way better podcast
Yeah.
than what would have happened with Batman.
Yeah.
You know, the Dark Knight.
Dog, you scary.
We'll be honest. The couple of Jokers, 3 Jokers and a dog. Like that's a good podcast.
That's a good podcast.
That's a good
Facts,
podcast. Facts.
Yeah. Cover the whole gamut of things from
Damn,
finances to dating to family drama, family memories.
In on it.
Yeah.
We went in on this episode.
I feel like this could go for another 4 hours, to be honest. But
We'll just.
we need to call it.
That's kind of why we're. Like, I don't want to announce where we're going with the podcast yet because we're just gonna pop up.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the motivating factors to moving the episode was like being able to have like the debrief afterwards. It's such a privilege for us to have like individuals come and talk to us and like share their stories. That I was like, damn, it would be cool to like eat dinner after this. It would be cool to like grab a couple bites, like hang out with that person, treat them to dinner, hang out, do it like that. And so
I'm gonna get a certificate for dinner at a later date.
yeah, I mean, you're always welcome to drop in.
Oh, so just wait for a future podcast when I'm in the background, like, hey.
We literally record the same time every week.
Yeah.
And you know where we're going. So.
Yeah. You know where to find us.
Yep.
Damn.
You know that's right.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't even know how to end this. It was such like a
fuck you, Batman.
Fuck
Joker
you, Batman.
out.
There you go. There it is. That's it. I'm cutting it.
Yeah.
I'm cutting it.
We're out.